This is going to be the rapid transforming lesson. I am just going to go very quickly through how to transform an object in various ways. Here we go. I'm going to have the selection tool selected. I'm going to start to scale an object using one of the corner anchor points. If I want to do it freely, I can. That's great. If I want to keep it in proportion, keep it this exact shape, I can hold the Shift key and grab one of the anchor points and begin to move my cursor around. It keeps the shape. Very nice. If I want to scale an object exactly to a certain size, I can do so by opening the transform tool up here. I can make it, let's say it's a perfect rectangle. I'll have to set the width to 5, or excuse me, a perfect square. I'll have to undo the constraint so that the height and the width are now disconnected, and make the height now 5, and there you go. If you click out of it anywhere, it will snap to that next dimension. If I wanted to make it so that I could keep this in proportion, as I scale one object, let's say for example I'm going to make this a little bit more obvious, different here. I'll make it 7 tall. Let's say we want to keep it in proportion, and we know instead of 7, we want it this shape, but only 4 inches tall. I can then make this constrained, meaning the height and the width will stay in the same proportion, and make the height 4 inches now instead of 7, and now it's the same shape but smaller. It scales it down. Alright. Other things you can do with transform: you can keep your cursor just outside of an anchor point, click and rotate. That rotates freely. If you hit Control Z to undo, if you click and rotate while holding the Shift key, it rotates in 45-degree angles all the way around in a circle. If you click and drag these target-looking things, you can transform your shape by changing the rounded corners. And if you go up here to the transform tool, you can do a lot more precision work. With the rotation, you can rotate from any one of these points. Right now we'll rotate from the center. We'll rotate, I don't know, 90 degrees. Hit enter. There we go. 90 was not obvious. There we are. So you can see how it's rotating around. There we go. Okay. And if you wanted to rotate it from a different point, you can select one of these different points in this 9-dot matrix and rotate around that point that is selected. If you want to change the position of your design, again, I'm going to Control Z to get it square again to make this obvious. The current position is X12 to the right, 0.0054, and then the Y position is up and down. It's 8.1181 down from the top. 0, 0 is currently located here, so if we put the top left corner of our rectangle at 0 and 0, then there you go. You got your rectangle in the top left corner of your artboard. If you want to change that to be the bottom left corner being in the top left, I'll zoom out a little bit here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll teach you how to zoom in just a moment. If you wanted to make the bottom left corner in that 0, 0 position, you can do that. Alright. That tool that has the 9 dots on it is incredibly useful. It doesn't even look like it's something that's selectable, but it is. Every point that you're working with is based on the point that is selected here. These 2 buttons allow you to scale the corners with it, so it changes the size of the corner with the object. Let's say you have this selected and you transform with scale corners on this rotation, or the corners scale with it. Right? If you do this without the corners selected, corners attempt to remain the same size, okay, of the radius. If you select the scale, strokes, and effects, don't do this with the laser cutter. You want to make sure that this is off for laser cutting because you need the path to be 0.01 pt for it to use the vector settings and for the laser cutter to follow the path. So if you have this selected, this is what will happen. Your design may have thicker lines, all of a sudden notice how the stroke changed to 0.021. The laser cutter will not follow that path anymore as a vector setting. Alright, so make sure you do not use, unless you're intending to change the thickness of a line, the scale, strokes, and effects checked box. Alright, that's it. I'm going to put this thing back on the page here. I'll teach you how to move everything around in the next video.